All right, everybody. I got another very special guest, a returning special guest. Everybody, welcome back to the show, Daniel Martinez. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. I appreciate it, and it's great to be on the show.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming back on. So I think last time you were on, we were talking about No Contest, and some of the stuff that you had going on there, the background of it, like you being a
Right.
lawyer and the fight lawyer and all these things. And
Yeah,
now,
no
oh,
contest 1 and 2 were kind of like my original comic book passion projects, where I try to kind of marry those two fields because I
yeah.
love fighting. I like MMA, boxing, etc. But I'm also a criminal defense attorney, so we try to wrap that into a story that is digestible for readers to kind of um, explore both worlds, if you will.
Yeah, and I got both issues and I really liked it because when we were talking, you had brought up kind of your love for Daredevil and characters like that, which I also share with you.
Sure.
And that book really did kind of have that feel. I mean, outside of oh man,
Sorry, sorry,
we're
sorry.
gonna talk sports here for a minute. Let's go.
You got your cup? You got your Eagles cup?
No, I do not. Well, actually, my where I keep all my pens.
There you go. No, and we of course we had a good game this year. And I don't know if we play each other next year, but it's always interesting because when northern teams face northern teams, it's kind of a cool thing, especially classic teams, right? Like
Oh,
I'm a sucker for classic teams. Like in basketball, like I like the Lakers, the Knicks, the Bulls. In football, I like the Eagles, the Jets, the 49ers, the Cowboys. Now you have all these expansion teams, and it's just not the same for me. How do you feel about that?
so I'm similar in a lot of ways. Like I do kind of. I've always rooted for the underdog in a lot of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why for years I rooted for Buffalo as the underdog.
Okay.
Also, living in New York, I'm surrounded by Bills fans everywhere.
Right.
And like now seeing, dude, I wanted Detroit to go to the Super Bowl so bad.
Same.
Like once Philly was out of it, I was all in on Detroit.
Same.
And then, dude, even seeing Kansas City be a dynasty now, like
Yeah.
I remember
It's
when they were a joke.
it's so awkward to me. The
Yeah,
only time I've ever liked the Chiefs for a little bit of time was when they had Joe Montana back in the day. That was
yeah.
cool. But other than that, like I've just never really been a Chiefs guy, and I get it. They have a powerhouse franchise, and of course, me being the hater that I am, I'll say that they get a lot of help from the refs. That's for sure. But I just don't like it. It doesn't feel like cool. I didn't mind even New England having a franchise, even though they're in the same division with the Jets, because it was just cool. Like there's certain dynasties that you respect, and I just don't feel that way about the Chiefs. And forgive me to any Chiefs fans out there. It just doesn't feel natural.
I, I always say good teams always get help from the refs.
Yeah,
Dude, Tom Brady got help from the refs.
he did.
And I'll say it to all the Bills fans out there. Josh Allen gets a lot of help from the refs too. Like good players, good teams get help. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
So while I don't disagree with you because I was there for the Eagles Kansas City Super Bowl and I was there for that terrible call at the end of the game.
you were there, like in person.
No, like I was watching the
You
game.
were
Like,
watching.
yeah. So I know how that all works.
Yeah, it happens.
It
And
just
and the
yeah,
Taylor Swift factor cannot be underestimated.
not at all. But what I was going to say prior is I think when all this expansion team stuff started happening, I was all for it. Given my only problem with it is give some cities that like need a team. Like, why do we
Right.
have two teams in LA? And why
Yeah.
do we have two teams in New Jersey? Let's
Right.
get that one out there to you. Why don't you spread it out? Bring it somewhere else. Give another city something.
I agree.
Uh,
They look at the markets, market size, of course, but I agree with you. I mean, why
yeah.
is there two teams in LA? That makes no sense. At least the Jets and the Giants kind of got grandfathered in
Yeah.
because they've been around for so long. And even to a certain degree that you had the LA Rams and who was it? The Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah. Which
But It was
Should have
cool when they
stayed in
moved him
San
to
Diego,
San
man.
Diego. You know,
Yeah.
when they moved him to San Diego, that was acceptable.
Yeah. And it got to its most egregious for me because I was really happy when Houston got a team back. As much as I'm like, I hate Dallas, I'm cool with Houston. Me and Houston are good.
Yeah.
But I was happy when they got a team back. But then this year, when they decided we're going to do throwback jerseys, which to all you haters, Philly, best throwback jerseys in the league. But for the Tennessee Titans to put on the Houston Oiler jerseys
Yeah.
against the Houston Texans,
Yeah.
I'm
That was
so
bizarre.
glad Houston stomped them out in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That was kind of below the belt.
It's like disrespectful. If you like,
Yeah. And it never made sense to me how a team could move. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, you'll have a team that just moves, like the Browns, right? The Browns are the Ravens,
yeah,
essentially. But then now there's the Cleveland Browns again, which is a new franchise. But the original Browns, if I'm correct, are the Ravens. Am I right? Yeah.
In the new Browns got all the history from the previous Browns back. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of just given to them. Where
Yeah.
Houston doesn't get the old Oilers history.
No.
Like
That's actually a good point. I never thought about it that way, Chris. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
the only
good point.
difference is that they didn't use the same name again. Like it's the Houston
Correct.
Texans now instead of the Houston Oilers. But
Right. But man, the Oilers, speaking of throwback jerseys, though, I like the Houston Oilers throwback jerseys.
those are great. I kind of wish one year the NFL would just say all throwbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going back to like their 90s jerseys. And if you don't have a 90s jersey, well, you're just going to stick out and you're going to deal with it.
And you know, and the NFL could learn a lot from the NBA because NBA teams have like 5 or 6 uniforms at a time. They can wear any of them, and they're allowed to change from one season to the next. You can just add jerseys. You can get rid of jerseys. My understanding, just because the Jets are getting new jerseys again this year, my understanding is that in the NFL, you can only do it once every 5 seasons.
Yeah, that's
so, and it's stupid
terrible.
because you want to sell jerseys. I mean, that's why NBA teams don't do so well with merchandise, because people can buy 4 or 5 different Knick jerseys, 4 or 5 different Magic jerseys, throwbacks, City Edition, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah, because when they did the City Edition year, I think that was 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
like I had to get a 76ers City Edition because it was such a cool design.
Yeah.
And like this year, so I wasn't going to buy, I have too many hats and I wasn't going to buy a new hat this year for any of my teams. And as you can see, I'm wearing
You are rocking
the brand new batting practice Phillies hat.
Phillies.
So
yeah, that's cool.
They
so
all
you like the Phillies. You're just a Philly sports guy then.
Yeah.
I'm the same
all
way,
man.
I'm the same way, but I'm kind of weird because I like the Jets and Yankees, and you're supposed to technically like the Yankees and Giants and the Mets and the Jets. But I've always been a cross team kind of guy like that.
So you're from New York?
I'm from Jersey.
You're from Jersey. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you also a Devils fan then?
No, I'm a Rangers fan. Yeah, I just like New York teams, and I always have. It's not like a new thing for me, but I've always liked the Rangers and the Jets and the Knicks and the Yankees.
Okay, nice. Yeah, New Jersey kind of got the short end of the stick there, man. They still have the Devils, and hopefully that sticks around, but
right.
You had the Nets for a little while, and then they're just like, no, we'll put them in New York too.
Yeah, we'll put them in Brooklyn. Yeah, that's a really good point also. But that was just marketing. That was the whole Jay-Z thing. And like, hey, how can we just like make a big splash? And then they tried to build a dynasty, and that didn't work out. And now we all laugh at them.
Yeah, and that because the Sixers sent Ben Simmons over there, like, here, you can have this trash.
Yeah, take him. Yeah, you guys have like pretty much arguably the best player in the league.
Yeah, and it's
Embiid is such a stud. Oh my
it's
God.
sad because he's hurt right now, but also just we cannot get that man over the hump.
No. Well, it's tough. And you have him for I think you told me like 3 more years. So you have enough time to draft somebody really good and at least get one more star. But it's just so hard in this league to find chemistry between stars. What I think would do you a world of good, and I don't know enough about your team. Maybe you do have a great point guard, but I think if you had like a stud point guard, if you had the Knicks point guard, like if you had Brunson and Embiid, that would be a terrific combination.
Yeah, who was oh, that was the guy. Small forward, not a point guard, but I think the mistake we made was getting rid of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, of course. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league now, too, for Miami.
And the thought process then was Ben Simmons was the guy. We learned that wasn't true real quick. But Embiid even goes back and has said a few times over the years, like him and Jimmy were like close friends. And there was a fear for a few years there that like Embiid was going to want to go down to Miami and play with them. Mm-hmm. Which everyone in Philly is just like, please, God, no, please.
That would be horrible for you. But
yeah,
the Heat would be unstoppable.
So I thought that was our best shot. If we would have kept him, we probably would have had a championship in that time.
Yeah,
but
you're still going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll probably see each other in the 5, 6.
Where are we standing right now?
It's the Celtics, Cleveland. I don't know who's 3. The Knicks are 4 or 5 because we've been losing a couple games.
Yeah, 5.
Knicks are 5?
No, Sixers are 5. Knicks are 4.
Okay, so then we would be playing each other more than likely in the first round.
Oh, bro, I haven't been paying attention. The Cavs are good this year?
Dude, the Cavs are the hottest team in basketball and have been for a while. They started off not that good, and they've just been lights out.
Good for them.
Donovan Mitchell, dude.
Good for them.
Yeah.
So my sports hierarchy goes football's number 1. Like I love football. Baseball's after that, then basketball. So sometimes I go a week without watching any basketball or really paying attention. And usually it's just Sixers stuff. So when I see other teams, I'm just like, oh, look at that. Like, oh, the Cavs are good this year. I didn't even know.
Yep.
But yeah, we start talking football, especially middle of the season, and it's like talking comics, man. Like I'll start blurting out stuff and be like, no, this, that, and the other. But
yeah, I kind of like them all, but yeah, football is definitely number 1. Baseball and basketball are probably tied for number 2.
And I'm just dipping my toe into MMA stuff.
Oh,
the toe's cool. Been dipped. Now that I've trained a little bit and done some jujitsu,
Did I show you my gym? Did I ever show you my gym?
I don't think so.
So look, you're in a normal law office right now. And then, can you see it?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I have it right here, but I haven't been using it as of late, and I have no excuse. I've just been lazy because of the baby. My wife and I had a kid.
I was going to say you have a great excuse. It's called a baby.
Yeah, there you go. And that's probably why I got back into comics, or at least like writing, because it's something that I can do while she's around and taking care of her, etc.
Yeah, for you, like writing, is that something? Because for me, sometimes I'll have ideas and I'll write a little bit for like my Substack and everything while I'm doing stuff, like while I'm at work driving or mowing the lawn. Do you have that internal process when you're taking care of the kid? You're kind of thinking about it, and then...
Yeah, exactly. I do. I think about it and I try to get something down. But it's therapeutic for me to write because I write for a living, except that my writing is legal writing, and that's not enjoyable. That's like really tedious. I mean, it's cool too, to a certain degree, but it's tedious. Whereas when I write comics, I'm enjoying myself, and I can go outside the boundaries of normal, quote unquote, normal behavior. That's why we wrote the new one, Hell on Heels.
I was going to say, that makes me think of when I did my journalism classes and was doing a little bit of that on the side for a little while and just taking press releases and making articles. And it's really just you rewriting what the press release is.
Yep.
But trying to make it your own. But really, you're going by a format. And it's like you fall asleep doing it after a while.
Yeah, I mean, with legal writing, you have to do a shit ton of research and look at other cases, and you have to figure out how to apply it to your case. So it's not that it's boring, but it's just not what I would do on a Friday night if I was home, just chilling, you know? Whereas writing comics, that's what I do. And in fact, with the new one, I wrote 5 issues already, and I did that over Christmas break. I just had a little bit of time. We were spending time with the family, and I wrote one, and I was like, man, I don't want to forget what this feels like. And I left number 1 on a cliffhanger intentionally to force me to write the second one. And then I did something in the second one that forced me to write the third. And before you knew it, I mean, nothing had been drawn except one pinup. And I had 5 issues done.
That's awesome. So I guess that's a good segue to get into it. Hell on Wheels. So what
Hell
is
on
the
Heels.
book?
Heels.
Heels.
Like
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No problem. Well, basically, it's about 3 sisters, the Storm sisters, and you can think of them almost as like the Kardashians, except they go to college. They go to a university in Los Angeles. They have all the money in the world. You don't know why initially, but they have tons of money. They're extremely attractive. They stay in shape. They are successful in school, and they're very popular girls. But they have a very, very dark side. And that dark side is and we talked about this earlier, it's almost like a Me Too revenge story. Not that they're the victims of anything, but if you take your prototypical bad guys, so I have a Harvey Weinstein type character in the book. There's like a Jeffrey Epstein type character in the book. There's a Bernard, what was his name? Bernie Madoff type character. And so they have a real distaste for corrupt, powerful men that abuse their power. So being in that world, because they're so wealthy, because they're famous, they have a reality TV show in the comic book. They rub elbows with these guys, but they can't stand it. So it's really dark and violent. Nothing too graphic that you wouldn't expect in other comics, but that's where we were going with it. And it was going to be a one shot, but I just found so many different layers to add into the story throughout the first issue that I decided to write more.
So I guess initially, like, where did the idea come from? Why did you decide to take that that story arc and go along with it?
I think because I wanted something really, really different from No Contest. No Contest was like autobiographical. So right off the bat, I needed to do something that was fantasy, something that was not about the law, that was not about me in any way, shape, or form. So I already wanted a female character. But then I thought, why not have a group of females that are related? And I wanted them to have dark hair, because in comic books, we see a lot of blondes. We see like red hair, like Jean Grey stuff. We see a lot of colors. But I said, man, I can't think of a group of 3 or 4 female characters that all have dark hair that are like Persian sort of. And so right there. So I started with the characters initially. And then I thought, how can I do something that's like a real juxtaposition where their lives can be so different from one extreme to another? So they're like the popular bubbly girls by day, and by night they're trained assassins.
That's such I love the premise, because while it's familiar, it's set in this world that we all live through and are still living through in some cases. But like, we had these big Me Too movement cases that went through with a lot of the characters you mentioned. And now to see, while people did get their revenge and that a lot of them are in jail, I'm sure not all of them, but this would be almost like, I don't want to say pornographic in the way of like, but it's like revenge porn.
It is. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's not a unique premise in that many books are about vigilanteism and many books are about revenge. I wanted the characters to be who was the last person you'd expect to be living this type of lifestyle. A girl that's got all she's a girl that's rich and successful doesn't need to do that. So they have to have a real obsession. So this book, to a certain degree, is about obsession.
And you title it as a not safe for work comic, and we talked a
Right.
little bit about it off air, but I'd love to talk about it here now because,
Yeah.
as I told you, I'm not normally someone who enjoys not safe for work comics.
Sure.
They're just not my
And
thing.
I'll be honest, I don't either. And the only thing that's not safe for work, I would say, are the covers. I really wanted these covers to like just pop out at you and to grasp your attention. But the content of the book, while it has extreme violence, it has very little nudity, barely any nudity. It has zero sex, although there's premises based on sexuality. It's not one of those classic not safe for work. So, and here's the different, you can get the covers in naughty or nude, because I wanted to cater to everybody. I want people that, although I'm not a not safe for work reader, I wanted to cater to both those readers as well as average comic book readers. So we have a tattoo variant there. The covers are outstanding. Ali
Yeah.
Garza, I don't know if you're familiar, but he's done some stuff. He's done Teen Titans and Supergirl. Super talented, especially with the way he does his female characters. So the book, the title, when they say don't judge a book by its cover, this is it. This is that, because the covers are very sexy, very easy to look at, very cool. But the interior of the book, I think the story is going to really surprise people.
I think honestly, this might be my favorite cover right here, cover G.
Same.
Because it almost reminds me of like Charlie's Angels, and that you've got these sexy badass women who, like, obviously we know are very attractive, but at the same time, I'm just like, you say the wrong word to these girls,
right?
And I'm going down.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but I agree. And I think some people might be afraid of reading this book because they might think, oh, it's just another booby book, for lack of a better term, but it's not. It's so not that. And so I hope people give it a chance. Just give it a shot, and I think you'll love it.
Yeah, and we're going through it, and you said like you were trying to do a little bit of fantasy and different things with it, but then as I was going through the pages here,
realism,
you threw in some realism from yourself too, because right here we have them going to a gym, jujitsu training, and stuff like that. So some of your real life pop through. Of course, it's your book; it's going to.
Right. Yeah, and when I say the fantasy, the book is not a fantasy book. It's very much realism, but it's extreme. It's extremism, because there's things that you wouldn't normally expect to happen in this story. But it's not a magic book. It's not goblins. It's not demons. It's just real life stuff that we deal with. Pop culture is a big thing. So it's that mixed with this sort of graphic violence. And you right there, you can see that this is how they kind of lure some guys in. They use and so that's the thing, Chris. Their attractiveness is a tool. They use it as a tool in order to lure these guys away and to get people to trust them. So them being hot was an important part of the story. It's not just, hey, let's get some hot chicks on the cover of a book so I can sell a lot of them. That's not it at all.
It's important to the story's progression that they be very like traditionally attractive.
Right, because if in order to get the attention necessary from these powerful, corrupt men, they have to be the type of girls that those guys rub elbows with. These rich, powerful men, if they go to a party, they're going to talk to the hottest girl in the room. It's just that simple. But these girls know that, and they use it to their advantage.
So we've got the book here with some interiors. How far along is the book in production?
Oh, man, 99%. I mean, we're just getting letters done. All the pages are done. All the art's done. All the covers are done. We are just finishing lettering. So it's 99% complete. It's definitely going to deliver on Kickstarter. I've already delivered No Contest 1 and 2 without hitch or delay. But so it's really important for me to be able to complete a project. I'm not going to put it on Kickstarter unless I'm certain that it's going to deliver. and this should be going out in May. So it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. I see a lot of Kickstarters where they have it and they're trying to play it safe. So most of the Kickstarters that are live right now might be saying they're going to deliver their comics in July or August. It was real important to me that if you have a little bit of interest in this, that I satisfy that interest right away.
Yeah, that's always something. I understand where some people are coming from with this, that they're just trying to get the book made. So this is their step to get to there.
Sure.
But it is frustrating when it's like, all right, we got the funding. Now we're going to start making the book, everybody.
Right. It's very frustrating. And I understand that's the purpose of crowdfunding. But my whole thing is this: we live in an ADD type generation. And if somebody happens to back this project, I don't want them to forget about it. Sometimes I get a Kickstarter and I'll completely have forgotten about it. And when it arrives, it's a pleasant surprise. But it's like, man, why did I want this book again? I can't remember why. And I want people to know why they purchased it.
Yeah, that's always fun when you get something in the mail and it's like, wait, I bought this?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
So we talked a lot about the book, what it's about, all that stuff. It's always important. Like, you're the writer, the creator of the series, but you also have a team that you're working with. So tell me about the team you're working with here.
Sure. I worked with Guilherme Rafid, did the interior art for No Contest 1 and 2. So I'm already familiar with him, his work, how fast he delivers, the level of detail. So we did it together, essentially. But we got Damir Rozic to do colors, who's absolutely outstanding. I got Ali Garza to do covers. Do you know Carl Moline?
Yes.
Okay. Carl did a couple of covers for me on this one as well. And ultimately, Heather Gibb is doing some editing, with lettering by Zen. I don't know if you're familiar with Zen, but he's very good as well. Everybody's just so damn talented on this book, Chris. I'm surprised that, quite frankly, I'm surprised that they were willing to work with me, because I don't have an extensive history of comic books. So everybody was super cool. Everybody was patient with the fact that I really don't know what I'm doing yet, and I'll be the first to admit it. I know how to write, but the comic creation process is something unique and different, and these people were able to show me how to fulfill this comic.
Well, I've heard before that wisdom isn't knowing the answer, but knowing who to ask. And I know for a fact that you went to a guy who knows quite a bit about making comics, especially on Kickstarter, and Travis Gibb. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's one of my great friends. I know you're friends with him as well. And so he was very helpful in answering my questions, but ultimately the decisions were made by me. So that wasn't that easy for someone who hasn't done it. No Contest 1 and 2, although I co-wrote them, they were pretty much served up on a silver platter by Travis. Whereas on this one, I got a little bit of advice, but all the shots I needed to call. So I'm hopeful that, and that's why I'm more excited about this book than No Contest even, because this is just a reflection of me, even though it's not about me.
Yeah. And it's also, while No Contest is a really fun book, and like you said, somewhat autobiographical, this is you stepping out of that zone and being like, let's do something fun, interesting, that I just wanted to do. So it's got to have an extra layer of like, it's not just that I live this thing and now we're going to make it a comic. It's that I just created this thing. I birthed this comic now.
Right.
That's a whole different world.
And that was a lot more satisfying than to work on No Contest 1 and 2. Although I love those books as well. This was just completely, I crafted the whole thing, obviously with the help of the team. But this is just what I was thinking when I was thinking it. And I really hope readers enjoy it. And I think they will. Honestly, I think people will be pleasantly surprised. I really hope nobody stays away because, it's not safe for work. It's going to be another booby book. First of all, you don't have to get those covers. You can get, Carl does a cover that's not, a couple of the covers are not adult themed at all. If you go down right here, this cover right here, although it has a hot chick on the front, the second one, although it has there you go. Although it has a hot chick on the front, or all three of them, that's not what you'd that's not any more adult than like an X-Men cover, right? So
I
if
was going to say
someone,
like a James Bond comic.
James Bond, right? But I mean, in terms of, you know, the sexiness that we see on like X-Men books, I mean, that's out there. We already have that. So it doesn't have to be a quote unquote booby book just because you have hot female characters. And again, the hot female characters are essential to this story. Without them, you don't have a story. If you have a plain Jane type female, she's not going to get the attention of a rich director. She's not going to get the attention of a rich CEO or a stock trader, and certainly not to the extent necessary to be able to like lure them away and murder them, right? They need those assets.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest with the world we live in. Like, go look at who Jeff Bezos is dating. I think he might even be married. Or
Yeah.
look at who, just name somebody and look at who they're dating or married to.
Right.
That are just rich dudes or famous dudes or whatever. Like, right or wrong, however you feel about it personally out there, it's just the reality of the world. Like, that's what
you're right.
Going for.
That's exactly right. And we're at 95 backers already, Chris. We're just short of our goal. We only dropped it 2 days ago, so I'm pretty pleased with the overall response. We are just shy of $800 to fund this book. So I'm hoping we get some followers. I'm hoping we get some backers. And I'm certain we'll reach our goal. I don't want to say that. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we'll reach our goal. But my goal is to put this in as many readers' hands as possible. I want somebody to open it up and say, oh man, I thought this was just about the cover. It's not about the cover.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, as you're looking at the preview pages, like, other than the one scene you show in the beginning, which I wouldn't even call it sexualized. It just happens to be that they're naked, nude in it.
Yeah.
Because it's a very violent sequence. But outside of that, it's literally just these women living their lives and kind of going through the motions of it until we get to the part where they're at the bar trying to seduce these men.
Right. And exactly right. And I wanted to showcase that as much as the violence. So I want you to see them in class. I want you to see them giving speeches. I want you to see them doing community service. I want you to see them doing normal activities, because that creates such a contrast between what they ultimately do. And again, these girls are not dumb. They know that they have to live those types of lives on a day-to-day basis, so they fly under the radar. No one would expect girls like this to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, which is so funny because, like, you say under the radar, but right in everybody's faces.
Yeah.
Under the radar.
Well, and to a certain degree, yes, because they're peacocking, but in other aspects. So I don't mean they're flying under the radar like they're secretive. I mean, they're so in your face, but doing something else. So it's kind of like distracting you,
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, wow, look at their nice cars. Look at their fashion. Look at their house. Look at their looks. Look at their bodies. The last thing they'd expect is for them to be assassins.
Well, I think about it all the time because people always have this idea of what a celebrity is to them. Like, you're a big fan of person X, and like you'll have this image of who they are, even though you have no clue. You just know what movie they were in, what song they wrote, whatever. And then when it comes out that whether they did something horrific behind the scenes, like some of this Me Too stuff, or whether it's something as just stupid as they have different political beliefs from you, people just like, oh, I never would have imagined.
Right.
So like it's kind of that idea of they're right in our faces. We see them all the time, but we have no clue what's going on outside that lens. And,
100%
that's what it sounds like these women are doing.
100% agreed. And I got the shirt too. I'm rocking it today.
Yeah. So other than a bunch of amazing covers you got going on here, what other rewards can people expect from the campaign?
Well, we're going to have some stretch goals up there. I'm hoping to hit I'm hoping to hit our goal so we can start doing stretch goals. I'm thinking about doing t-shirts, prints, bookmarks, and other rewards. But for the most part right now, it's just about the comic book. Once we get to the 5, we're going to have a whole bunch of different rewards for people, stretch goals to thank them for their participation. But like I said, it'll probably be bookmarks, maybe posters, stickers, t-shirts, hats. I'm a big merch guy, so I'd like to give out some merch.
Merch is always fun.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, it sounds like people can go out there, try to hopefully support the book. There's a bunch of awesome covers, like you said, both not safe for work, safe for work, and everything in between. And yeah, we're sitting, as we're recording this, you already said this, but we're sitting at a little bit over 4,200 with almost 100 backers. I can't see a world where you don't get funded.
Right. I don't either. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I think we're safe. We just went live on Tuesday. It is now Friday. We've been up for 3 days, and we're over 80%. So I see us hitting our goal, and then I'll be giving some people some stretch rewards for sure. And I'm going to talk to Travis about that. He's got better ideas than I do about stretch rewards.
Yeah, and stretch rewards are tough because it's funny because it used to be the thing, and I don't mind it personally, but it used to be the thing that bookmarks were the big stretch goal.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see everywhere where people are like, "Oh, another bookmark."
Right. Okay. So I'll scratch that off the list then.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, I still have a stack. I mean, I'm a crazy person, so I have like 10 books being read at one time on top of my comic. So I love having tons of bookmarks.
Yeah, bookmarks are good. I've got a couple of Travis's in my office right now as we speak. So.
Yeah, and but I think I've seen a lot of stickers. People seem to like stickers.
Yeah, stickers are good.
Stickers
I'm going to do stickers, certainly. I see that happening. And I'd like to do t-shirts. See, I'd like to see how well we do, because if we rack up some more backers, then I can spend on t-shirts.
Before we go, you want to just pimp out social media?
Absolutely. On Twitter, my name is Baby I Like It Law. On Instagram, I'm the Fight Lawyer. On Facebook, I'm just me, Daniel Martinez. And the comic, if you want to just go to the URL, it's www.hellonheelscomic.com.
And to everybody out there watching or listening, as always, check out the show notes for links to the comic, to the Kickstarter campaign, and go and support it. Check it out. I think you all will enjoy it. And Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time today to come chat with me, man.
Thank you. My pleasure, Chris.
We'll have a good one soon, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.